One, today we start vaccinating our first responders on the island of Oahu. Our heroes who work for the city and county of Honolulu. You know, I think about when I used to fly, there's always the message, if the oxygen mask drops, put on your mask before you assist others. I used to always think I wanted to put the mask on our daughter first before me. But when you think about it, if I can't take care of myself, I surely can't take care of her. Our first responders are those people. They need to take care of themselves so they can take care of us. They've been taking care of us. Through the worst crisis in 100 years, health crisis. They went to work, they did their job, and now they're going to be vaccinated. We hope as many will be as quickly as possible so that they are safe, so they can help others. Another part that makes the motion is we see a pandemic raging in places like the United Kingdom, a new strain of the virus, highly contagious. We see the virus raging across our country, out of control in places like California. And we see the numbers going up on the island of Oahu. So I see hope, like the tree down at Ho'ohali. Hope, 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 and hope. But I also am concerned. So the first person to speak is here, but Chief Ballard can come up and say it first. Thank you so much for being here.
Aloha and good morning. I'm sure as most of you have already heard that, I was kind of on the fence on, taking this vaccine. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that it's a personal choice for everybody, whether they take the vaccine or they don't take the vaccine. I'm one of those people who need to do plenty of research. I need to read the research. I need to see what's out there before I make a decision, and I make an informed decision. And that's what I've done today. So I have decided to take the shot. And on top of that, if it means by showing that by me taking this vaccine and this shot, that other people are willing to step up and may have some second thoughts about it, and so that we can make our island safe, then I'm there to do it. Because you know what, we're all in this together, and we can only do it if we all become one. So I'm here, and hopefully it doesn't hurt too much. And if you see me cry, please make sure you take that tear out of my eye. Thank you. And by the way, the mayor said if it hurts, I can hit him. So make sure you keep your cameras trained on him. Thank you.
I've never seen Chief Ballard cry. She's very tough.
Ow!
You want to sit next? You're in the
Just do it. Just do it. That's the right arm.
the beginning of the beginning.
We already have a plan I had my shingle shot, so I'm good. When you're old, you get those things. You don't want to get shingles where it's not comfortable.
So if you go through that, you
That was
get ready.
that shingle shot was it's interesting too.
Which vaccine are they getting? Is this Moderna?
And cigarettes. And don't laugh while you're poking my arm.
Mayor Caldwell's behind you in case you
Right
want to
here,
get
she
up.
can do it. Are you good with the left hand?
I'm left-handed.
Maybe you should give up your gun.
I'm
Oh,
gonna,
you're just doing that so I'm not kidding.
Oh yeah, there's
I'm
still a
gonna sit
bar,
this
aren't
way
they?
because I don't want her to hit. Okay,
You're
that
making the DOH staff nervous.
That was good. It was good. Didn't feel a thing. She did good. Oh, am I bleeding? Uh-oh. I'm bleeding.
We are here in the Dead Sea, the lowest point on earth. It contains the salt, the mud, the rate of oxygen, which is healthy for your mind and soul and body. Wow, unbelievable. I've been a guide for a long time. It's the first time for me to see Dead Sea salt in the salt room, raw like salt in the floor, salt in the wall. After 1 week of exploring Jordan, I have to throw my cell phone away to relax. Well, here you clean your mind, you clean your soul. You know, this life is full of stress. Please, you have to take your stress away. I need this moment for myself.
No more flights between Germany and UK. German authorities on Sunday issued an emergency order to ban all flights between the Federal Republic of Germany and the United Kingdom as of immediately. German-based aircrafts currently in the UK are allowed to fly back. Cargo flights can continue to operate between the two countries. This is due to a new more than 70% more dangerous strain of the COVID-19 virus detected in the United Kingdom, and not yet in Germany. The extreme measure number LF10 6194.11-10 to protect Germany was signed by Johann Friedrich Kolsmann, head of the aviation department for the Federal Republic of Germany. Many other EU countries have similar emergency regulations in place. Also, Eurostar is no longer operating at this time. No more flights between Germany and UK. German authorities on Sunday issued an emergency order to ban all
Aloha and namaste. Good afternoon or good evening better. It is now 11 in the evening here in beautiful Hawaii. And we're having our last panel for today, and it's going to be a good one. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz, and I'm representing Livestream and eTurbo News here in Honolulu. But today, we're actually celebrating the launch month for the World Tourism Network. World Tourism Network is a new network or association, what emerged out of the Rebuilding.Travel discussion we had started back in March when Corona became a reality and a threat for the travel and tourism industry. This is our launch month, so we had an entire month of December so far, the last 2 weeks of many different events, and you can see all these events if you just go to worldexpo.travel, worldexpo.travel. You can watch it, the archive, and you see this event and all the other ones we have also live on eTurbo News. On every page someone is visiting or reading us, and all on our other publications like Meetings, Aviation, eTurbo News, the German language edition reads us, and everywhere else you go, you find this broadcast now live, together also on Livestream and on our social media network, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, on a number of different accounts. Once we're done with the live session, this will be repeated for another 2 weeks randomly together with our other sessions on a 24-hour basis. So you might see yourself, if you look at eTurbo News, at a later time as well. But of course, it is archived on our pages for World Tourism Network and also on Livestream and on the worldexpo.travel. We're very pleased to have Deepak Joshi. He's a good friend. He was the CEO of the Nepal Tourism Board, is now working, I think, in the consultancy business in Nepal. He is someone who understands the tourism industry, have lived and worked in this industry for quite some time, and is very much familiar with the situation in the Himalaya region where he is from. So I think today he has a panel from that region, and I'll give the microphone to Deepak so he can take over from here. Welcome, Deepak, and also welcome everyone else. Yeah, you might want to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Jürgen, for this brief introduction about WTN, World Tourism Network. And on behalf of South Asia Travel Trade Fraternity, we would like to extend a very special message of congratulations for creating such a very important and wonderful platform where we will be trying to give alternative voice for global tourism through this network. Now, let's begin this session. We all know that tourism is one of the few industries which is ever increasing if we see the past 60, 65 years. Unlike until a few years back, it was confined to the very limited countries, destinations, very limited activities, and it was limited to the handful of players. But now it is widened to almost every countries and communities across the globe. So that's why it has become one of the very significant segment of our socio-economic uh, uh, phenomenon. So, but after this pandemic, probably the biggest crisis that we are going through, suddenly we have to face many problems. Our business are down, movements are blocked, but slowly, we know we have seen many crises, though this is the biggest one. But as everything has some limited life, the crisis has also limited life. There are some green signals are being seen as good news for vaccination, or being accommodated with some new protocols. We are quite hopeful that this is the right time. We should think about restarting our business, livelihood. So in that line, uh, today, in this webinar, we have chosen a very important theme: restarting tourism with regional collaboration. Because we all know, for maybe for overall tourism, domestic tourism might be the first segment to restart with. But when we talk about international tourism, or inbound tourism, regional tourism is probably the first step that we should look upon. I'm not going to talk longer because we have a panel of very highly regarded and eminent speakers we have from the region. Let me introduce uh, eminent speakers here. First, I would like to introduce Mr. Javed Ahmed. He is CEO of Bangladesh Tourism Board. He is a member of uh, uh, Bangladesh Civil Service and holding the post of Additional Secretary. A very professional and experienced gentleman who is trying hard to overcome through this pandemic, and he is doing great job leading Bangladesh tourism to overcome this crisis. So we'll hear his thought. Let me introduce another eminent speaker we have, Mr. Damchor Injin. He is head of marketing division at Bhutan Tourism Council. He's a very passionate person in tourism, very young and dynamic. Most of the creative campaigns and messages that we see coming out from Bhutan Tourism Council, he is the man behind most of these campaigns. So we'll hear his thoughts in a while. Similarly, we have Mr. Laxman Gautam. He is head of the marketing division at Nepal Tourism Board. Nepal Tourism Board is National Tourism Organization of Nepal. He is expert advisor for Honorable Minister and Ministry at Ministry of Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation. He is well known for his dedication and professionalism in our tourism industry. Then we have fourth speaker, the man who doesn't need introduction, Mr. Naveen Berry. He is the most respected personality in South Asia region in tourism. He is the one who established long ago a vision of regions coming together. He had founded one South Asia Travel and Tourism Expo, which is a leading B2B platform in this region. Not only in this region, in whole Asia, I think that's the leading B2B platform. And at the same time, he has founded a very unique tourism event in our region called Bharat International Travel Bazaar. And obviously, India is the biggest source market in our region. With this introduction, I would like to start with some to get some insights from our speakers. First, I would like to start with Javed Ahmed. Hello, how are you, sir? Unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you very much, Josie.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Okay.
Just
Uh,
we'd like to hear from you, Mr. Javed. How is the tourism scenario just before this pandemic, maybe in 2019, and what is the scenario right now? how you are thinking to restart tourism in Bangladesh. Just give us some brief highlight about it.
Okay, dear moderator, fellow speakers, respected listeners, very good afternoon from Bangladesh. And today is our 49th Victory Day, and Victory Day greetings to all of you.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, the current COVID-19 crisis has led to a national quarantines and global travel bans, bringing international travel to a standstill. According to a research performed by the United Nations World Tourism Organization, 100% of UNWTO countries impose restrictions on traveling, and 72% have completely closed their borders to international tourism. Actually, the tourism and hospitality industry of Bangladesh is the hardest hit sector of the COVID-19 pandemic. The tourism and hospitality is one of the fastest growing service sector industry in our country. The sector nearly contributed 4% in our GDP. About 4 million workers were engaged in this industry, definitely pre-pandemic period. And roughly 15 million people are dependent on tourism and hospitality industry, And definitely pre-pandemic period, we had almost 15 million domestic tourists and 4 million outbound and 0.3 million inbound tourists we had before the pandemic. And due to COVID-19, the outbound and the inbound movement is come to an halt from April 2020. And the good news is that the domestic tourism has gone up, and really we are seeing a very good market, very good situation in our domestic tourism. It is going on, and the actually restriction to what we imposed earlier, that is lifted for Bangladesh. Now people can visit Bangladesh, and we have made some arrangement to welcome the foreign tourist. Can I speak something more, or will tell later on?
We'll come to you in a second round.
Okay.
So
okay.
now
Okay.
I will come to Mr. Damchari.
Thank you.
The marketing head of Tourism Council of Bhutan. So Damchari, can you share some of the insights, like how was the situation just before pandemic in Bhutan, and what is the situation right now, how you are thinking to restart your tourism?
So thank you very much. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us to share what's happening. I think it's much needed coming together. I think and congratulations to this World Tourism Network being launched today. So very, I'm glad to hear this. So yes, 2019 was looking. We were doing well. We did well in 2019, but we were looking much better for 2020. So if you looked at the January and the February arrivals compared to the previous years, was doing much more. And Bhutan was recognized as the top country to travel under best destination category by Lonely Planet, which I think gave a lot of hope for us to bring in a lot of tourists. And then similarly, we were recognized as the best marketing personnel in ITB Berlin. There were quite a few built up, I would say, build up awards and recognitions coming for Bhutan. And 2020, we were, like I said, was looking quite good for us. And then the March news of the COVID-19 pandemic hit us, and everything got. I think we were saying the tourism industry froze. We didn't know how to react. I think we were overwhelmed by this disruption per se. So then. We started now preparing ourselves now after a month or so, because the first month was really working on how do we get our tourists who are in Bhutan safely back to their home. So it was challenging as some countries were closing their borders. So I think it was necessary for some of the countries to keep the borders open. That was one of the challenging things we did a month or so. And then after that, of course, looking after those affected by pandemic, of how do we take care of them. And now we are looking at, of course, how do we open? So this is a summary of how Bhutan looked in 2019, how great Bhutan was looking in terms of tourism for 2020, and then a brief summary of what we are doing at the moment in terms of opening Bhutan. I think more will be shared later. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Damcho. So now I will come to Mr. Lasman Gautam. He is head of tourism marketing division at Nepal Tourism Board. So Lasmanji, can you share some of the insights? How is the situation in Nepal, and then how we are thinking to restart tourism?
Thank you, all respected speakers and participants. First of all, I'm so pleased to share with you that I'm speaking from the country where the height of Mount Everest has increased by 86 centimeters. Now we have 8,000 of 848.86 meters. That is the newest record so far.
Wow.
And regarding tourism of Nepal, as everybody knows, Nepal was really picking up before COVID-19 scenario. We had also started Visit Nepal Year 2020 campaign with an expectation of 2 million arrivals. And the trend was also very encouraging. And the first 3 months recorded almost 400,000 tourist arrival. That was very encouraging for us. And things were moving in a very right direction. And all of a sudden, we had to suspend the campaign because of this COVID-19 pandemic. And now the situation obviously is bizarre. Everybody knows we are also not exception to the impact of the pandemic. And therefore, almost 300,000 direct jobs have been lost, and more than 1 million indirect jobs have been lost because of this. But still, Nepal is very resilient, as we have also experienced resilience in our earlier disaster, especially 2015 earthquake disaster. And it didn't take a long time for us to recover. And we have an experience of reviving faster in our history as well. So we are very confident that Nepal will recover pretty quickly, especially in the post-COVID scenario. And there are some indicators. Number one indicator is because Nepal is opened for mountaineering and trekking almost 2 or 3 months ago, and we have seen a gradual train of the tourist arrivals who are going for mountaineering and trekking, including very high-profile expeditions like the royal members from Bahrain, royal member from Qatar. They've already successfully completed their expeditions to very renowned mountain peaks of Nepal. And we've seen this trend going on. It indicates that Nepal is a very favorite destination for adventure as usual. And we are very nearing, we are having 2 new international airports coming into operation very soon. So one international airport, it is only 22 kilometers away from the birthplace of Lord Buddha. And that airport will come into operation probably 3 to 4 months from now. And another airport, Pokhara Regional International Airport, which will come into operation probably in towards the end of this year, of 2021. And these bring us the prospect that Nepal is gearing up with larger volume as well as greater value markets. And our strategy, especially as the moderator also indicated, what is country doing to revive for tourism? We have taken some steps, especially the government of Nepal has taken some very important steps for recovery plan. For example, the Central Bank of Nepal has taken very aggressive plans to recover the damage which is caused by the pandemic. Like, for example, extension of loan repayment deadline up to 1 year, and refinance facility up to 5 times, grace period extension for infrastructure projects, targeted lending for the relief and revival of the sectors, which includes tourism as well, and banks and financial institutions to extend further loans to industries and business which are badly affected by pandemic. So these are some of the recovery plans, financial plans floated by Central Bank of Nepal. And we are already gradually opening up. We have put our protocol, the hygiene, sanitation, and health protocol in place. and our tourism enterprises are also picking up slowly. And we are also connected to international airports pretty well. And interestingly, I'm very proud to share with you that Nepal airport was never closed, even during the pandemic. The only operating airport in Nepal, as of now, it's Tribhuvan International Airport, situated in the capital of Nepal, Kathmandu. It was never closed even a single day. Maybe it was for the evacuation purposes as well as for other transport purposes, and it definitely worked. So we are very much steadfastly moving ahead with the tourism activities. And recently, we have started India-Nepal air connectivity as well through the Air Bubble project. So that is also picking up. And there are so many other international airlines from different parts of the world are coming up. They are being connected to Nepal, and Nepal is also expanding. So it shows the situation is pretty good, and we're very confident. As soon as the vaccine comes into availability, as soon as things become normal and people start feeling more comfortable towards traveling, Nepal will be chosen as a favorite destination, even more importantly than before. So we hope to receive the arrival figure come back to its earlier position, maybe next year itself. So if there is any other query that comes up in our discussion, I'll be more than happy to share with you.
Thank you, Lasmanji. So basically, the motive behind today's session is to learn from each other and then to come forward for better collaboration for quicker recovery of our tourism. In this line, I'll try to reach out to Mr. Navin Berry. He is, we all know, the most respected personality of our tourism in this region, and probably he is the one who is quite experienced tourism leader in this region also. Probably he has seen so many other crises in our region. So just to start with Mr. Berry, I would like to first know from you, Mr. Berry, like how is the situation in India? India is the biggest source market for all of us. And then maybe for India, I think Bangladesh, Nepal are also within top 10 source market. And then what are the areas where we can collaborate ahead? You also create some of the events. What are the events that in a near future you are going to organize so that where we can get benefit by participating on it? In this line, please share some of your thoughts. You have to unmute, Mr. Berry. Mr. Berry, you have to unmute yourself. Yep.
Yeah, you're unmuted now, sir. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah, you are not audible.
You may have to change your microphone because you show that you're unmuted, and you probably have a microphone on what is not connected. Actually, if you click on the mute button, there is an arrow file next to it. You see all the microphones your computer has, and you can just change it. Just click on the arrow button next to the right of the mute button on the very left. Now you're muted again. You're unmuted now, but your microphone doesn't seem to be working. So if you click to mute, not unmute, next to the mute, there's an arrow button, and you see select microphone. Just select a different microphone if you have one. I think he doesn't have a microphone that works.
Mm-hmm.
What country is he in?
He's from India.
Okay, India, as far as I know, we also have a phone number you can call in, but I'm not 100% sure. Let me check. Maybe Deepa, if you want to go to another speaker, I'll look up if there's a phone number and I will share it.
Okay. Okay. Sure. So we'll come back to Mr. Javed Ahmed again. As Mr. Lasman, he has mentioned about the preparedness of the destination, for example, stimulus packages or something like that. Can you share some of the insights on how Bangladesh is preparing, giving kind of the relief packages for private sector or some other programs in this line?
Thank you again. Thank you again for giving me the floor. Actually, a lot of measures the government has taken to restart the tourism and hospitality industry in Bangladesh. Uh, Let me tell all the things which you have taken earlier. Number one, a very extensive study is being conducted on the impact of COVID-19 on the tourism sector and the potential for damage. And Bangladesh Tourism Board is preparing impact of COVID-19 on Bangladesh tourism industry and assessment and suggestions through the government organizations. We have BIDS, Bangladesh Development Research Institutes. They are conducting this assessment. And in order to contribute to the recovery of the tourism industry by guaranteeing that traveling is safe, Bangladesh government has taken many initiatives. Bangladesh government is highly interested to welcome foreign tourists. We are ready to maintain all the safety measures to address the COVID-19. So the Ministry of Civil Aviation and Tourism has already prepared a standard operating procedure and distributed among the stakeholders and tourism as well, tourists as well. And we are preparing a recovery plan to overcome the devastating effects of pandemic on the tourism industry. Bangladesh Tourism Board has prepared some guidelines. Bangladesh Tourism Board has taken initiatives to formulate guidelines, policies for identification, preservation, development, and marketing of the following tourism products and services: adventure tourism, agro-tourism, rural tourism, cultural tourism, community-based tourism, and responsible tourism, ocean cruise tourism, many others. Actually, we are formulating these policies to accelerate the this sort of tourism in Bangladesh. And to restart the foreign tourism, at first we initiate our domestic tourism, and so far we are really successful. Domestic tourists are highly responsive and rushing to the tourism attractions. Local administration and law enforcement agencies are working hard to make them take proper safety precautions and maintain social distancing. And to create awareness among the local community, that is very important. We have to involve the local community in the whole process, otherwise things will be not come up as a successful one. So Bangladesh Tourism Board is organizing tourism awareness program in and with the district administration. The workshop was conducted by Bangladesh Tourism Board with the participation of local and central representatives, civil servants, journalists, tour operators, academicians, and other stakeholders. Actually, you know that we are in a process to make our blueprint of the tourism master plan. Mr. Benjamin Carey is here. He is one of the consultants, and the COVID-19 actually what measures has to be taken by the Bangladesh Tourism Board or Bangladesh Tourism Authority, that will be also be stated in the tourism master plan there. So a lot of initiatives we have taken. Really, we are very happy about our domestic tourism. A very good number of people are traveling around. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. So I will come to Mr. Damtor Engine. How you are preparing your destination to restart your tourism? I mean, is there any recovery plan or marketing plan so that you can share some of these strategies where we can work together?
Sure, thank you. I think Mr. Dipakji, before I get into the recovery, I want to mention that I briefly mentioned earlier in my opening remarks. When we first we were hit by coronavirus pandemic. The leadership that His Majesty our King took. He initiated, of course, the something called the Public Welfare Fund. So people in the tourism industry who were affected were given an equivalent monetary, which this led us this made us to actually really prepare ourselves much more, because we were very worried. We didn't know what to do, how to keep these people, running, because their livelihood was. So His Majesty the King initiated, it's called the Royal Kidu Relief Fund, basically for people who were impacted for COVID-19. So this gave us an opportunity for us to prepare. Then, of course, under again the leadership of the government, some of our speakers earlier talked about as low as interest rate is as low as 2%. So these were initiated for the tourism industry partners to prepare. I know that to especially tour operators and hoteliers were given loan to support their employees and other operating expenses for a very low interest rate. So these initiatives were actually initiated at the very beginning, so that we react and try to recover. Because everybody, like I said, we were in a shock that this has happened when we are looking for a very bright tourism year. So this happened, and then after this, our office, of course, in under the overall economic contingency plan of the government, worked on engagement plan. So here we engaged in two phases. One is from April to June, and then from July till end of this month, December. So two phases. We call it the economic contingency plan. So under this, we had cleanup of trekking trails. We had building of toilets. We had building of roadside amenities. We had skilling and reskilling and upskilling. Then we also had surveys and studies. So we had identified projects, government-funded projects, but targeting people who were what do you call it, displaced by COVID-19, so that we could keep people running, right? So that's really more on how did we react. So how are we trying to recover? Now I want to briefly touch on reopening. Now, of course, Honorable Speaker from Bangladesh, Mr. Amit, mentioned about domestic tourism, and I think one more speakers mentioned earlier about the domestic tourism. And until COVID-19, we didn't realize how big domestic tourism could be, for Bhutan. Bhutan was so focused, all our eggs were put in international tourism, right? And this shock happened, and then now this domestic tourism is really helping the tourism industry revive. We tried to promote domestic tourism many years ago, and it didn't really kick off because we were all focused on international tourism. And this COVID-19 pandemic has made us to really walk the talk, of course, in some cases, like the domestic tourism. So this has really been quite good for Bhutan. It's growing. It's growing. It's a small scale, but it's growing. But nevertheless, it's keeping people engaged and to revive Bhutan when we actually, think. Now, of course, in preparation to reopening, so now we're also looking at how do we improve the infrastructure? How do we have good products? How do we have good packages? So we are working on this, of course, as part of the engagement plan. So when we open for tourism, hopefully soon, then we have these facilities enhanced, the services improved. And digitization is also one of the biggest project that we have at the moment happening. So we want to see which processes, which procedures, which layers can be help digitized, so it makes them much easier. So it has given Bhutan an opportunity to really relook at all these processes. The other thing that Bhutan is looking in terms of reopening is we looked at different proposals, I think looking at the trends of how people may travel. I think personal health, well-being is going to be key, and safety and trust in possibly the COVID-19 protocols of nations would be quite key for people. So these are some of the areas that Bhutan is considering, looking at other travel trends. Some of the countries they've already opened, and then expectations of the visitors. So taking these into consideration, we looked at different options. For example, our country at the moment requires people to stay, everybody 21 days in quarantine. So are there packages probably we can target? We have had people inquired about, we want to come in and stay in 21 days quarantine, but we want to do a business. Can we have a more relaxed stay in Bhutan, where there's maybe a whole hotel can be given to them? They stay there in quarantine for 21 days. They do their business. So quarantine business is almost like a quarantine 2 packages. The other options could be like, can we travel in a quarantine travel mode? With less contact with the people here. And the other options could be also exploring on exclusive high-end travel. Of course, Bhutan has always been focusing on high-end travel. So looking at, can we accept people in a smaller number for us to learn and then move on, where they have again very minimal contact with the public, but can we identify other places where they can go and enjoy? So looking at all those options of how do we start, uh, it's not necessarily about when do we start. I think when do we start would be dictated by the situation of the coronavirus pandemic. But how do we start? So these is what our office and of course the Kingdom of Bhutan is looking in terms of reopening Bhutan for tourism. So I'll stop here, Dipakji. I think if there's more questions, I'm sure we can share more later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very, very insightful. Good to know that all the good jobs that Bhutan is doing. Now I will come to Lasmanji. Just share if there is any recovery plan or the marketing strategies that you will be focusing on to restart tourism. Lasmanji, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, coronavirus not only gave us the negative impacts, but also taught us a lot of things. We have to learn from some adversities, which we have also done the same. Number one, everything has been moving towards digitization. Now we have taken everything, more manual things have been changed or converted into digitized thing. That Nepal is, over this period of time, we have put everything into digitization as far as practicable. And number two, we have also taken into account some value of domestic tourism. Because even earlier, we remember when during insurgency in 2002, when international arrival had gone down, Nepal had that time experienced how important domestic tourism is. And this time also we have given some vitality, some importance, and we have seen a gradual growth of domestic tourists as well. And that has not only helped establish some products and activities which were overlooked earlier, because there are some of the areas which are usually positioned by domestic tourists, and gradually the arrivals and the flow of the tourists go to that place, and that gets established. And that also becomes a product for international tourists as well. This is how we have explored a lot of areas which were otherwise forlorn. So that is another thing we have learned and we have done over this period of time, and which will definitely unveil. Once the international tourist travel starts coming, we will unveil those other products which were lying unknown to so many people. And another, we are coming up with some aggressive plans. We have realized, because the kind of traditional marketing strategy, which are, of course, to some extent important, but they are not going to be so useful instruments now onwards, because the mindset of the people is changing, and the test of the travelers is changing in the post-COVID scenario. And therefore, we have put great importance to health and safety thing. And whole other aspects, especially, we have taken safety as the biggest parameter. And we have taken earlier, probably safety would be important, health would be important, but it would not be given that primacy and value as now it's deserving. So that Nepal is given importance. And another, we have realized, because the crowding is obviously not going to be favorite thing in tourism activity, therefore Nepal is already well established for adventure, for some other activities, like, for example, mountaineering, trekking, they're obviously there. But in addition to that, some wellness, meditation, spa, and Ayurvedic things, other mountain activities. So they will come up in addition to other cultural activities as well. And we are also trying to focus rural tourism, sustainable tourism, eco-tourism, which were not given so importance earlier. Because of the volume of the people, they were all not given so much importance. They were sitting in the back seat. Now they have started coming to the steering wheel, because we've realized this ecotourism is very important. Sustainable tourism is very important. And so this social distancing will obviously remain there. Even if the vaccine is prevalent, the people's habit had changed a little bit. So in that case, Nepal will always be chosen as a very favorite destination. And our another strategy is we are trying to revamp our product marketing packages, because earlier we used to package in a different way. Now we're trying to see how we can also look for some of the areas and source markets which come to Nepal for niche activities, because niche were not important earlier. Now we're trying to promote niche activities as well. So digitization, domestic marketing, and obviously the focus on the sustainability, ecotourism, nature-based activities, they will be again important in the post-COVID thing. And in addition to all of them, because Nepal will have been marketing because of our upcoming airports. And we definitely need to address and reach out to some of the areas like Southeast Asia, where is a large volume of Buddhist followers. So those Buddhist pilgrims, or even the people who are interested in Buddhism, in philosophy, in religion, for whatever it is, so they will be connected directly to Lumbini. That will be another way. So we'll be definitely going in a different direction and to that market segment as well. And because the tourist hotspot Pokhara is also going to be directly connected, so that will also help tourists coming directly to Pokhara. So we are trying to lengthen the stay, and we're also trying to diversify the products. This is how we have learned a lesson, especially with this COVID pandemic thing. So we try to translate that into action. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmanji. I think we are reconnected with Mr. Naveen Berry. Mr. Berry, are you there? You have to unmute.
You can hear me now? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. You're like next
I'm
door.
so
Are you
glad.
in Hawaii or where are you?
Very good, Yogan. Nice connecting with you. My namaste to all of you again, and my sincere apologies for this bit of a mess up in my the microphone on my laptop. Having said that, I'm sorry I missed a bit of the what was said in the last few minutes, but Deepakji, thank you very much for bringing me on board on this very prestigious forum. Couple of points that were mentioned by the marketing colleague from Nepal Tourism Board about the startup and the bubbles and how India is progressing at the moment. As you all know, we had a complete national lockdown, unlike in Kathmandu, where the Kathmandu airport was open. It was never closed. For 2.5 months, our entire nation was in a lockdown mode, a time which was used by the government and by the private sector to kind of take stock of what we can do, ramp up the medical infrastructure that was required. And I think when we opened on the 25th of May, we initially opened the domestic aviation network with 50% capacity allowed on our domestic network. So we had a very slow start, and all with social distancing and all the protocols in place. But I'm glad to say that from 50%, we ramped up to 60 to 70, and now 80% of our domestic network is open again. Loads are reasonably doing well. I think the pricing is also coming up satisfactorily. So air connectivity domestically is improving. As was mentioned by one of the speakers, the air bubble between India and Nepal is meant to open in the next few days, perhaps tomorrow. So we will have some connectivity with Nepal starting this week itself. India presently has 23 air bubble.
I think we lost him, Deepak.
No, he's unmuted.
I don't.
Now I think I'm back.
Oh, there he is. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So connectivity is one of our government's main criteria to open up travel and therefore tourism. And throughout the country, there is a fair amount of robust development in terms of tourism, particularly in the adjoining cities. So all our metros, they are feeding in all the neighboring tourist centers around the country. So if you see Delhi, where I'm sitting, we have traffic going over to Agra, Jaipur, all the cities around. And I'm pleased to confirm that robust occupancies are registering, good rates are registering at resorts close to Delhi, close to Mumbai, close to all the metro towns. I think there's a great opportunity for regional tourism to come back. As Deepak ji had mentioned, I have worked in this field for last 30 years. We initiated the first tourism mart for South Asia region as a whole. I think there's a lot of opportunity for some of our neighboring countries to take the lead in initiating a regional travel congregation of sorts at the earliest to reconnect the trade once again with each other and to exchange whatever can happen on an urgent war footing. Of course, India is a major supplier for travel in the region, but the converse is also true. India gets a lot of tourists from Nepal, from Bangladesh, from Sri Lanka, from the Maldives. So I think, in a manner of speaking, there is a fair amount of mutual two-way traffic between India and all its neighbors. And I think there's a lot of opportunity in the near future to start this ball rolling once again. And I think whatever maybe Jürgen can provide, you have an international network, you can assist in providing some kind of a kickstart to regional tourism in this region.
And that, Navin, is exactly what we're trying to do with World Tourism Network, to really build this organization from the bottom up. So we welcome anyone's and your assistance to help us establish local chapters. They pretty much could work on their own. But when it comes to reaching out to an international market and to a global audience and giving weight to whatever these local chapters' goal is, that's where we come in. So that's kind of the idea we have, actually.
Thank you, Mr.
Deepak
Bey.
ji,
Yeah, please.
Deepak ji, you must initiate something in this regard. You have good brand equity in the entire region. And I think you should lead, and people like me will follow you.
Thank you for your encouraging words. I think while we talk about regional tourism, I don't know about other regions. Maybe in other regions also it is similar, but in our region, about our own destination, about our own products, there is a kind of rigid perception. For example, when we segmentize our tourism, we segmentize like tourists from South Asia, tourists from India, tourists from Europe, tourists from Bangladesh, type of thing. But
Right.
within the country or within the city, there might be different segments. For example, in our region, how we are compartmentalized is for adventure tourism, European market. For cultural tourism, spiritual tourism, there are some Buddhist segments like Japan or Korea. For mass tourism or for temple tourism or for short vacations, only regional tourism. But probably this is the right time. We need to explore new segments within the region. For example, Mr. Javed Ahmed very rightly mentioned, nearly 4 million outbound was from Bangladesh itself. Nearly 26 million outbound in 2019 was from India itself. Nearly 2 million outbound from Nepal, nearly 1.8 million from Sri Lanka. So there is a huge outbound market within our region, which can be a very good inbound market for all of us if we start attracting, like in India, in many cities, I see there are very good niche segments interested in adventure, interested in bird watching, interested in some other categories of segments also. So probably
Right.
in these lines we can explore our potential. We can establish the corridors. We can connect the dots and then get the benefit and get going. So these kind of things are also there in this line. And the major theme of today's talk program is also how the regions can come together. So in this line, I would like to get some insights from our eminent speakers, like how you see the prospects of regions coming together, how your country can contribute for enhanced regional collaboration, or in which areas you see we can come together to restart tourism. So in these lines, please share some of your thoughts. I will start with Mr. Javed Ahmed.
Okay, Josie, thank you very much. Am I audible to you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Josie. That's a very right point you have made. So we need a cooperation, coherent situations among us. Actually, we have some initiatives under the BIMSTEC arrangement and perhaps in the SARC arrangement. We have regional cooperation. And a few days back, I attended a meeting of BIMSTEC. Perhaps many of you already joined there, perhaps joined there, and they have some arrangement like this, the Buddhist circuit, that is encompass the Nepal, the India, Bangladesh. These three countries are very connected with the Buddhist circuit. So one initiative can be taken to connect, to strengthen this connection with this particular product. One thing, and another is the SARC tourism. We have SARC arrangement, we have SARC regional cooperation. We can move this agenda. We can move this agenda forward with the regional cooperation which we have already in place. That is my that would be my suggestions. If you think that we need some other cooperation just for the tourism industry only, so we can create that sort of cooperation among us. That is my suggestions up to this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jamin. Now I will come to Mr. Damcho to take his insights in the same line.
I think it's quite important that the regions come together. I totally agree. And I think in the earlier messages I was checking, my colleague from Bangladesh, Mr. Tawfiq Rahman, I think he mentioned about this joint marketing. And Mr. Ahmed, I think you correctly mentioned about BIMSTEC, SARC. And the other day, we were at the Sustainable Development Fund, and the requirement for them to come up with something like that was, of course, have 3 countries join. And I must say, in addition to the 3 countries Mr. Ahmed mentioned, I think Bhutan is also very much part of this Buddhist circuit. We have had quite a lot of publications and packages being developed, private led, and of course jointly with public also in some occasions. So I think we need to revive this. But also the other probably areas we probably look at is how do we ensure a seamless maybe travel arrangements within countries, of course, because we are looking at promoting travel. So I think a collaborative, like Mr. Ahmed said, a collaborative joint efforts is quite important to begin with the region, and then maybe we look at international markets. Some countries like Bhutan, we said we were always looking at international markets, and with this coronavirus pandemic, I think we have been taught to look within, So now probably we look a little outside within Bhutan. So I think going forward as a region, something that Bhutan would actually be very much interested. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Damcho. Mr. Benjamin is raising his hands. I think he has something to share with us. Benjamin, the floor to you.
Thank you very much. Look, this is a really interesting panel. I worked in all your 4 countries, and it's great to see so much innovation coming out. Bhutan talking about the sort of quarantine packages is just brilliant, and getting people to realize that they can come and stay in a beautiful place and still work as long as they have an internet connection. I mean, we're always out of a crisis, innovation comes. And I think one of the things they're looking at the chat, there've been quite a few questions and comments about, is there an opportunity for a regional travel bubble? Of course, there will be domestic tourism coming back first, and intercontinental tourism is going to take longer. But it's the South Asian region where I think is the real opportunity. And Deepak, you're absolutely right. India is the biggest market for all the other 3 countries. But there are obstacles, there are barriers, some countries require visas, and even for their neighbors. And I think this is a frustration. And I think if the countries in this region are really serious about bouncing back, then they need to look at how they can embrace the regional network and work together. And look at lifting some of these visa restrictions. Can I ask all the panel, what are your practical plans in creating a travel bubble throughout South Asia?
Thank you. Now I will come to Mr. Naveen Berry. You are raising your hands. Please, floor to you.
Deepakji, my humble submission is that more than ever before, now more than ever before, no airline or no hotel company will be able to subsidize any travel. Everybody is bottomed out and they'll all be looking for revenue streams. I would recommend an industry first initiative where the government is only an enabler, but the government is not going to subsidize any of this travel at all. So I think it has to be business driven. And I think the initiative should come from the industry, where the industry wants to happen, travel to happen, the governments will support the industry. So I think the industry needs to put its head together. When I say industry, I mean industry from individual countries, then also the industries of the region coming together and discussing immediately which kind of what connections do they need, what kind of frequencies do they need, so that airlines can also, everybody will have to dovetail into a common effort. So I repeat my thesis, like yourself, could provide some kind of a leadership in bringing Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, even a larger region from the socialist countries, Myanmar, Thailand. We can certainly, south parts of China, they can all come together because it's all one expanded region. And I think we can all feed each other. In India, we have an expression called Aas Paas, which means, so neighbors first would be possibly the first step to kind of boost, international travel. Domestic tourism within Nepal, within India, within Bangladesh, that is going to be the first bubbles which are going to start. They have already been there, and I think they are sustainable. But I think also travel between our countries can work better if the industry identifies what steps they want the governments to take.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your valuable suggestion. I think in the same line, we can learn something from Africa Tourism Board. Maybe Jürgen can share with some insights, because since last 2018, they have established Africa Tourism Board, which is not the tourism board of a country, but the region coming together to highlight the destination. So some experience we can learn from them also, and we can start something here. So just a brief take. I would like to take from Mr. Lakshman Gautam also about the regional tourism.
Well, thank you. First of all, adding to what the previous speakers have said, there are some networks which have been already established, but they need to be promoted more, like Buddhist Circuit. It is established, but we have not been able to properly reap the benefit the way it's being marketed. And another concept, especially over these last couple of years, it has come up, like Ramayana Circuit, especially when Prime Minister Modi visited Nepal, and Nepal's Prime Minister and India's Prime Minister sat together, and they launched a very innovative concept, Ramayana Circuit, that connects Nepal, India, Sri Lanka as well. So these circuits are one thing. Tourism is a very interesting dynamics. As it has trickle-down effect, it also has a ripple-out effect. If there is a disease at one part of the world, it spreads all over the world. In the same way, if there is some good tourism initiative taken somewhere at a particular point of the world, it also gradually ripples out. So that kind of effect can be realized in the region as well. This air bubble concept of India was really, it is a very nice concept. I appreciate the initiative. And that ultimately, at least it could connect several other countries. And there are so many now countries connected by this air bubble concept, which ultimately gave some oxygen to the already dying tourism industry. Therefore, I would still say these already established circuits are not enough. We need to resuscitate those circuits so that we can have the maximum benefit from it. So we can integrate them, reintegrate them, we can package them together, we can market them together. Because one particular point in isolation does not ultimately yield. Therefore, we need to put together, for example, Bangladesh. Bangladesh is also part of Buddhist Circuit, interestingly. So And there are so many other aspects which are interconnected. And it's not related to the religion at all. We are not talking about mere circuits founded upon the basis of religion, not at all. There could be adventure circuit. There could be circuit from, for example, Maldives at sea level to Nepal, the highest peak. So from sea level to the highest peak. So we can have very interesting, innovative circuits which can connect the countries for different diverse experiences. So we can also innovate new things like that as well, in addition to what is already established. Thank you.
Thank you, Laswanji. Now we are almost at the end of the program. At the last, again, I would like to come to Mr. Naveen Bedi, because you have seen this region growing in tourism. So can you give us some insights, like what could be the new test for new travelers, especially referring to India market, because India is the biggest source market for all of us, and then how we can collaborate, or is there any events that going to happen soon, so where we countries like Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh, or Sri Lanka can join and get benefit? Please, Naveenji.
Thank you, Deepakji. I overlooked mentioning that only yesterday and day before, the Ministry of Civil Aviation of the Government of India has initiated a dialogue with all the foreign airlines operating into India to assess the ground reality and to assess how many of them can actually start flying to India. And we are also talking about an insurance package for every incoming tourist, where the insurance would cover the COVID treatment as well, should a visitor require hospitalization or any other treatment. So a lot of effort is already on in terms of opening Indian skies to international tourism. Regarding regional tourism between our own countries, I would like to suggest we have at the moment restrictions in Delhi where there's a cap of 50 people maximum for any gathering, social or business. Till a month ago, this cap was 200 people. It was brought down to 50. There is general containment of COVID in India, especially in Delhi and the other metro cities. Even Mumbai is seeing some of the better lows right now. Delhi has some 1,500 cases a day, which is down from 8,000 at one point. And the mortality rate is around 3.2%. So there is a fair amount of good news. We don't know how long we can contain it, but hoping and praying that we are able to contain it. We hope some of these restrictions and caps of the number of people allowed are relaxed. So there is a optimism that by February or March, this cap will at least go up to 200, 250 people again. So the moment we see some semblance of normalcy returning to the, with the flights opening, hotels are already open, I think March or April would be a good time for us to convene on a regional MART come conference. I'll be happy to initiate this dialogue, let this happen in Delhi. And given your momentum and all the fellow speakers from Bangladesh, Nepal Tourism Board, and Sri Lanka, I noticed is missing, but as you had mentioned to me, they were not able to join us today. But I think there can be a regional momentum, definitely sometime in March, April, to initiate, kickstart, find the same. I think the first level would be reassurance. I don't think, while I value what Lakshmanji was talking about, opening new circuits and new markets, I think the first need of the hour is to bring business back, which would be easier on already established footholds, and not to immediately launch new initiatives. I think the first initiative should be reassurance that all is good, we are there, you are there, we can all start our work together again. So with that in mind, maybe we can keep track of how things are moving, how the air bubbles are opening. Our next step is from moving from air bubbles back to commercial flights. Right now, these are bubbles which are negotiated between governments and governments. What we are doing now is to say, Are we ready to open the commercial aviation scene again, as we have already opened the domestic? I expect the international to also open with certain caps, maybe 50%, and then gradually lifting that cap to 60, 70, 80, or whatever. So I think all this will happen.
Thank you, Mr. Naveen Berry. I think very, very valuable and insightful thoughts that we have got today. Just I would like to mention one example. You know, the one rigid mindset that we have, we need to break that. For example, nearly 1.5 to 2 million outbound market of Nepal, they are not going to explore Bangladesh because from Bangladesh side there have never been a kind of promotion program in Kathmandu because you know the most of the Nepalese they are going to explore seaside because in Nepal there are no sea. They are going to explore Dubai or Thailand or Singapore, but in 1 hour flight they can explore many beautiful beaches in Bangladesh. Similarly, for Bhutan also, you know the in Dhaka, the rapidly growing city for I think nearly 40 million plus population itself in Dhaka. So I heard that in consuming of luxury goods, Dhaka is the number one market in the world. So most of the rich people are there. So we can within the these cities we can explore the segment that we are looking for. I mean the high end segments to the segment that fit in our offer. So I think we have got so many insights today. We'll explore new avenues. I would like to thank, and then I think Mr. Nurul Islam Nazim, he wants to share something. I would like to give a brief note, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm from Bangladesh. I was listening to you all very insightful. The tourists are mainly it's revolving within the elite class, the rich people are. But if we can encourage the middle income people come to the tourism industry and enjoy tourism facilities, and we have to develop infrastructure in such a way that the even middle income people can enjoy tourism in South Asian region, then the industry may flourish. Now it is only the the elite class or the rich people's industry, but it must be the graduated below the middle income people at least, or upper middle income and middle income people, so that industry can be expanded within the region. Otherwise, we always to increase the contribution of the tourism industry in GDP. It will not be able to increase without if we can enhance or enlarge the facilities from elite class to the middle income people. So maybe your reaction I would like to know.
Thank you. This is what we are suggesting, to explore different segments within the region. So we have got very good insights and feedback from you all. We are almost at the end of the session. I would like to extend very special thanks to Javed Saab, Damchaji, Lakshmanji, and Naveen Berry for your very, very insightful and valuable thoughts that you have shared with us, and all the friends of our tourism fraternity who have joined us in this seminar, in this session, through Zoom, through Facebook, through all the other mediums. Thank you very much. And thank you, Jorgen Sentmas, the founder of this World Travel Network, for creating this platform and for suggesting us to organize this event. Thank you, Jorgen, for your closing remarks.
Yes, thank you very much, Deepak. Thank you, everyone, for attending. It was a very good discussion. I think you made some progress, and some ideas that are realistic came out of this discussion, and we couldn't wish better for any type of panel. It's I think this panel will go way more than just talk. It will probably get into the action phase, and that's what we're all hoping, because we all have to react. This is a crisis that needs our attention constantly in order to bring this business back. Too many jobs depend on it, and it is we've been hit in the travel and tourism industry more than any other industry, and Deepak specifically, you've been there not only for the region in the Himalayas. You've been on so many panels, different subjects, whether it's Africa or other parts in the world, with your insight, and thank you for that. I also wanted to recognize just a few people in our audience. I noticed I wanted to recognize Rudolf Herrmann. He is leading our chapter in Malaysia. Thank you for attending. Rudolf has gone far with this. We will communicate his information. It's just not enough time in the day to do this all at the same moment. But Rudolf has started a LinkedIn group where such discussions are quite active already, with 300 or 400 members, and has done a tremendous job in Malaysia. I also wanted to recognize a lady. She told me this morning, I can call her Snow White. She's a professor. I hope we didn't know. Here she is, Dr. Snežana in Serbia, and she agreed a few sessions before, when we talked about the Balkan region, to lead our educational panel globally. So we're very happy to have her on board. I think she almost attended every session today, and thank you for this. And education, of course, is very important anywhere in the world. So we will include her in all discussions ongoing. And I'd like to thank you. I always say this now. He doesn't have an official title, but hopefully he's going to be vice president of our organization soon. We have Stephen Brown. He is in New York. He has attended every single session. It is now for Stephen, I believe, 5:13 in the morning. He's been there all night. And thank you for this, Stephen, for your enormous interest. I really appreciate it. And I guess we're going to see you in about 8 hours when we have our next session. I would encourage everyone to just simply go to our website, wtn.travel. If you haven't joined World Tourism Network yet, please do. We have both complimentary options to join us and paid options. Of course, we prefer the paid options and give you more access. You can also list and sign up for future events. December is dedicated for our lounge events. I think altogether we're going to have about 40, 50. And we will have a big New Year celebration. We have two of them, two big events on the 29th with Peace to Tourism, with the founder Louis D'Amour. Is the second session he brings to this platform. And he's celebrating 35 years since he founded this organization. And then we have a session what also includes tour guides, actually from Bhutan. We had a guest, and from other regions, ringing in the new year and get the attention of the importance of tour guides everywhere in the world. And it's kind of relevant to this group here, specifically to Bhutan and to Nepal. We had a session not too long ago with a lady from Chicago. She runs a tour company. And what she's doing right now, she has virtual tour guides. And we had guests from Bhutan attending, from Tanzania and Peru in this session. And I found this so fascinating. What she does is employ tour guides for virtual tours. So they go with their phone, with their virtual equipment, and show countries and cities exactly where the guest wants to do. And for this, they get paid. So they get employed even if there is no tourism. And these type of initiatives we really love. And we rewarded her for being our tourism hero. We now have 21 tourism hero, including Deepak. I wanted to mention this. These are people that go the extra step, what is so necessary, and I think we should recognize this. Again, thank you very much. Namaste to all of you. And
the last but not the least, I would like to extend a special thanks to Tourism Recovery Task Force Nepal, who was our kind of partner for this program. And then a special thanks to Mr. Suresh Baral, CEO of Pata Nepal chapter, who is heading TRTF Secretariat, and the team. Thank you, Jürgen. Thank you very much. Thanks to all.
Okay, thank you guys, and hope you see you soon. Stay healthy.
Thank you for getting us over. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.